Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next anime review for Anime Month. And I would say now, I'll think be review. No, I always keep saying that. I think what or kind of whatever. No, but I know what it is. Today I'll be reviewing. I would say probably is the most probably a lot of people. It is the most graphic, brutal anime you can watch. And I think it does well. I think what makes it work is like precisely the animation and the dark atmosphere of the show. That's what was the selling point of it, especially with with how graphic and brutal the kills are, and whatever And which today I'll be It's you can say they say OVA series though because it's only 4 episodes, OVAs, but I'm still calling it a series though, an anime series despite saying it's OVAs. But today I'll be reviewing of the adaptation of Corpse Party, Tortured Souls. Now this is based on a video game series which I've never played. Even when I've heard this, I never heard of the video game series, so I have nothing to say on the video games. I know there's been adaptations of it, so I don't know anything about the games. So, but I don't know from these short series from the short series. So yes, so as for the anime, it was for the anime itself. It was released in 2013. And I gotta say, yeah, it is probably the most graphic, brutal anime series I've seen. And I think one of the highlights of this is definitely the animation. I think the animation was very solid, especially creating this dark atmospheric look, especially at the haunted school that our characters are in, and especially with the brutal deaths. The animation with the kills. It's definitely a whole nose bar on, especially on the blood and the brutality of this, especially with how a lot of these characters die. There's a lot of graphic deaths that is in this. So that's one big positive I could say about it. It definitely does a good job of the animation and the atmosphere, especially with the animation showcasing the brutal deaths of these characters. So that's what that's definitely one of the big highlights of this anime. Which it does a really good job on. And of course, if you're not a fan of this, I'm sure people are divided on this because especially how brutal this anime is. So I'm sure if it's divided, it's definitely understandable. So those are big pluses. I give credit to this. But as for nitpicks, I would say are the characters. For a lot of the characters, you can pretty much say take them or leave them. Well, even though when they die, you kind of feel sorry for them. You do. They were just innocent people. The whole thing has started okay. Before I'll get to the characters though, but the whole thing started because there's a group of students, and especially this girl here by the name of Umi. Ayumi. Yeah, this girl right here, Ayumi. She's telling a story about the group of kids because it's the night. It's night after school after their cultural festival, and she's telling a ghost story about this elementary school that brutal kidnappings and deaths that were happening at this elementary school, and that it was demolished, and this school they're at the school they're at has been rebuilt on top of it, and and then because it was Ayumi who was about to transfer to another school, right? So what she does is that the teacher comes in And the lead guy, Satoshi, his little sister comes in as well. So because Aomi wants them to, because there's a whole group, they want them to remain friends, right? Friends forever, will always be together, even though they're separate, right? So she comes up with this kind of like a friendship spell, like it's a piece of paper of a paper person, and each one grabs a piece, and they all yank it together, and wherever that piece they get to keep, that way it shows that they'll always be together forever, right? And then just shortly after that, there's an earthquake, and all of them fall through the floor, and then they all wake up in this, which turns out to be that old abandoned elementary school that happened there. That was all that tragedy happened. So, and it's basically the premise. Basically, the gist of it is it's haunted by the vengeful kids that died there. The spirits of them. And then all of them basically get murdered one by one, basically. And they have to find a way to get out. And in which all of them are separated. A couple of them are together. Like we got the other girl by the name of Naomi. She's with her girl like Psycho. Like how which shows the when they're together, right? Naomi gets a little sprained ankle. And then they hear which of course in a horror movie, separating each from each other is never a good idea because something always happens, right? Of course, they both do. Then Naomi screams and shouts at her for leaving her by herself, whatever. And then that upsets Psycho. She runs off to the bathroom, and then something happens when Naomi finds her in the bathroom. She's been hanged. She tries to say her sorry. Naomi does, but it's been too late. And she's been talking about the death of her friend. And then with the other people, like with Satoshi is with his sister, Yuka, and Aomi is with Kisanuma. In case I mispronounced the name. Another guy's with them. They come across one of the ghost spirits by the name of Naho, one of the ghost spirits, and then with the other people, the other one like Marishoshi. He's like another guy who has glasses on. He's like taking pictures of. He's taking pictures of dead corpses, and he's trying to find the girl that he likes, Mayu. And then after we're going back with Mayu, who's sitting with these two these old children that are ghosts. Like one girl has one eye missing, and another girl, like another little girl, like the upper half of her from her mouth, I guess, and upward is gone. So you see like the lower half of the mouth, rest of the head, and the lower mouth, like the lower teeth and tongue are still visible. And the teacher said, "Hey, we should get out of here, but the girl Mayu does stupid. It's like, oh, they're not afraid. They're just gonna kill them. They're nothing. Basically, you're saying they're little kids. What are they gonna do, right? Wrong. So you do get a couple of characters that does stupid things. So that's one thing. But Mayu, because of that, those two spirit kids drag her like the brutality of this short anime is which gives it. I thought the animation was really well done. Like first she's being dragged across the floor, her face is being dragged across the wood floor, and all of a sudden her body gets slammed, basically all to mush on the wall. All of the graphic of her organs and all that stuff is displayed on the wall. And the teacher gets knocked unconscious, and you don't see her till later. And then with that one guy with the glasses, Murshoshi, I pronounce the guy's name. The one picture he takes, he takes that image of the organs on the wall, which he know that was her, because it mentioned like, oh, that body's still kind of fresh, right? Until he realizes when he gets a phone call, basically from her spirit, from her, he's saying, "Don't look at my organs on the wall," and at that point, that's when he just loses it. He loses it. He becomes instantly insane. Starts like beating dead corpses with a crowbar, and starts chasing after Satoshi's sister. And a lot of keeps going around with all of these characters here still. But with him though, he's still chasing after the sister. And then there's this other ghost, this guy. He's like, oh, I'll protect you. Oh, would you be my sister, right? So he goes and stabs that guy in the neck with a big, huge knife. Stabs him, eventually bleeds to death. And then that ghost starts going after her. And we're back with Naomi. She still can't get over the death of her friend. And then Ayumi still figure out what's going on. Who was also with Kishinuma, which they both figure out. They try to appease the spirits, make them make them move on, basically to heaven. Like there's a spirit of this one boy that attacks him, and basically saying give it back to him. He's saying give it back, right? It's mine. And they find a little bag containing his tongue, his cutout tongue. He gives it back to him. His soul has been appeased, and you see a light, and he goes to heaven. And you see that, and then also you see that he did like I guess basically because it jumps to that one girl who had the one eye missing, who helps him, who basically helped kill that girl Mayu because she was a vengeful ghost. But I guess now it just jumps to her. She's now been appeased. We didn't see how she did. And I guess the other girl with the one half of her head was missing. Guess she got appeased off screen. I guess because we didn't see it. But anyway, yeah, and I guess, and like I said, that boy got appeased, and so did her off screen. So she transfers them, both of them, back to their world. But they see their friends haven't come back yet, so Ayumi wants to go back to get them. But Kishinuma doesn't want to. He says, no, I'm not going back there. She gets mad at him for being selfish and all that stuff. So she goes back. And one leads to another that eventually that Satoshi's sister, she gets caught by that the one vengeful guy who's be my sister and all that stuff, who now has like his face is like half of like one of those figurines in science where that shows the display of the body, like it's whole on one side, and half it shows like the inside, like it's been skinned or whatever. So she's been tied down, she's been stabbed, cut in the middle, her eye's been taken out. And also that the main vengeful ghost of this series, by the name of Sakio, who's this girl with carrying scissors, wearing in a red dress. She's the main vengeful ghost in this whole series. And they eventually get to the sister, but eventually it's too late. She's been mortally wounded, fatally wounded, say. But the guy Kinch, he comes back, takes that one guy's head off, that ghost, who's been half right of the whatever I said about that display thing. But then that one adult who he's not a student, but an adult, like it looks like a teacher, but is not though, comes in, and Kishinuma gets a very brutal death when he tries to hold them off for them to escape. He gets stabbed from behind through, and then punched right through gets punched right through his mouth. Like I said, this show holds a whole no bar when it comes to display of the animation, which is solid, which it comes to the display of the graphic and bloody brutality of these kills. I mean, everything. The guy's guts is getting out, everything spilled out, everything. Even before that girl Psycho, before she got hanged, she sees half of a dead body, the lower half, sitting there with the whole, everything exposed on the outside. I mean, this shows does a great job with the brutality of this. So, they get away, but sadly though, it's too late for his sister. And basically, they find out one at a time, they find out what's been going on, right? Like there shows the principal how he fell off a roof, committed suicide, and finally, the journal's been writing on its own. It's this woman with a neck broken, and eventually also Aomi, she gets a vision. She gets a vision when she was being tied down by that one guy, the spirit of that one guy who killed Kinchinuma, and Sachiko, I think it was, yeah, the girl in the red dress. She's the one who's been doing the murders. She killed those four those children we saw earlier whose souls have been appeased, right? But we get her backstory on how she died, because the principal, she worked at that school as that school nurse. She's the one who the principal pushed down the stairs and broke her neck, and Sachiko saw this, and the principal killed her by choking her to death. And so he buried her corpse, stabbed her, cut her tongue. And the whole time, why she's been a vengeful spirit, because she hasn't moved on with her death. She doesn't want to know that she was dead and all that stuff, right? And also back with that spirit girl, that Naho, who's been telling him who saw Naomi. The reason why she's been waiting for somebody is a guy by the name of Yu Kizumi, I think it was. I think it was the spirit of that guy who said, "Be my sister" and all that stuff. I think it was. But anyway, but the thing is, we see a footage because our remaining three. Oh, because I forgot to mention about the teacher. She comes back and meets with Ayumi, and then some falling wood from the ceiling comes in and just decapitates her. That's how the teacher died. Yeah, so the teacher gets a brutal decapitation from a fallen piece of wood. And then, but I was again back with the Nahao, that our remaining three, they see footage, they watch a footage of her strangling the guy. So she's been a vengeful spirit too, because she's been gone a little crazy because she's been given false information to all those people about the spells and all that stuff and all the deaths that happened here. So Ayumi shows on her phone the footage that she strangled both her and her corpses together. So she realizes that what she has done, she's dead and all that stuff, and her spirit, well, it doesn't appear to be appeased because we didn't see no brutal light, some light, that heavenly light that takes her spirit away. No. She's like disintegrated ash, basically gone to hell, basically. And that's how she's gone. And then back with the lead ghost, Sachiko. First, with Naomi, she sees a footage of her when she was because somehow she got possessed and she's the one who hanged Psycho. She kicked the bucket and then she got hanged. So I guess how she got possessed and she hung Psycho, but she didn't know that though. And now she feels guilty to saying that, oh, I did this, I didn't get a chance to never apologize, all that stuff, right? And she's about to turn dark, black, and become like a vengeful spirit, right? But not until the spirit of her friend Psycho calls on her phone saying, hey, let's be friends again. I love you. And that brings her back to her senses. And so we finally back with the with Naomi and Satoshi and Naomi they confront with Saichiko, who's trying to stab Satoshi, and the good spirit of her comes in and accepts her death, that she died, and her mother, right? And so it gives it back her tongue and that stuffed cat that she liked, and saying I'm sorry for everything and all that stuff. So both of them, the lights of the heaven come in, and she goes up there. And so both of them, they escape they take the pieces of paper from their spell that you call the reversal method. So say the name of their number of times was there, then they gotta be able to come back though. But the thing is though, the ending, the last ending of this was kind of a bit downbeat. A downbeat ending, because Satoshi, he takes a piece of paper that wasn't his, but he thinks he had Yuka's, right? But he also had a piece of paper that was not his or both of theirs, the other two girls, right? So when they get back there, the two girls, they get back there fully, right? But they look, each of them are holding both of them are each holding Satoshi's severed arms. And that's it. Only his arms came back, only severed. Each of them are holding each one of his arms, and that's it. The rest of his body is gone. Apparently, I guess, he had the piece of paper from another student from another school. That was the character of Kizumi that Aho was looking for to be with. So he had his piece of paper from before, because it showed his student ID. He was from another school. And I guess that's how Satoshi died. Because he used a piece of paper from a student from another school. That was kind of downbeat, right? Because they finally get back to the real world, and all that came back was his severed arms, and each of the girls are holding. That was kind of downbeat. It was. And then so after the credits, Naomi's mom is on the phone with the doctor, saying that she, because by that point, now Naomi has lost it now, again. Because now, she said that mom said she won't come out of her room, and said that she says that her friends don't exist. Her friends, all of her friends from school, they don't exist, saying that they were imaginary. Which got me thinking, what about Aomi? She came back. She's a friend that was with them. She exists. So what is that? Wait. So Aomi doesn't count too? She's an imaginary friend to Naomi now? Is that what her mother's saying? What about Aomi? And also the fact that also saying that because now she makes that very scared looking face that she has never done. We see her staring at the window with that shocked look on her face, just murmuring to herself. But at least why is Naomi's not imaginary? She came back with her, so is she not? So is she not imaginary to Naomi? So yeah, that was kind of downbeat. What happened to Satoshi? And also, I forgot to mention that before there was like a prequel, goes 10 minutes long, a 10-minute prequel, where it shows a gang of friends together living normal lives before the events of this happened. So, but the thing is that we don't know fully about these characters. If you haven't seen the 10-minute prequel footage though before all this happened, you still wouldn't know about them. If you're watching this as a whole without seeing that prequel footage, right? You wouldn't know much about these characters. So yeah, that's one of the nitpicks I have with this series. I mean, you don't know much about the characters. You don't, and the ending was kind of downbeat, especially for our character Satoshi. But other than that though, I mean, I can deal with the lack of characters in this because I wasn't bothered because I was feeling kind of sorry for them because you wanted them to get out of there alive. But other than that, though, I don't hate this anime. I don't. That's why there's no. If I did, this would be a rant, right? I'll put a rant in my title, right? So it's not a rant. Like I said, the best of the highlights is the animation was very solid, given that dark tone, look, atmosphere of the series. You know, very given a dark horror atmosphere look to it. And also the animation, it does shine on the brutal death, how brutal of the brutality of these deaths are. Very graphic, bloody deaths, definitely. All the dismembered bodies and all that stuff. That's what the animation does. Now, let's say it has to be the most graphic, brutal anime I've seen. Probably to a lot of people as well. And I felt bad for a lot of these characters. But yeah, for four OVAs you can call it. Yeah, other than the downbeat ending with having Satoshi was downbeat. I'm like, after all that, I'm like, what? Really? So, but the voice actors, they do a good job. That's another thing. The voice actors do a good job, and really enough, the girl who, if you made this far in this review, the girl who voices Sachiko, the main vengeful ghost in this series, you know, the girl with the red dress and the hole in the scissors, she's actually the voice of Pikachu, really enough. Yeah, Pikachu, a Pokemon, who voices the main vengeful spirit ghost of this girl. I find that funny. Voice of Pikachu, really. So that's surprising. But the other voice, the voice of the cast does a good job though. The intro, especially the music for the intro, was pretty good, and the animation too for the intro as well. But yeah, other than that though, overall I did like Corpse Party despite the two nitpicks, like basically the lack of character development and the downbeat ending though. But overall I did like Corpse Party. I don't hate it. Because if I really did hate it, I would just put this will be a rant though, but it's not though. So yeah, and I'm surprised they didn't make any more based more on the games of this. So I know they did a manga though, but no more animes after following any of the other games. So like I said, I've never heard the game, so I just rather watch this though. I think this is supposed to be based on the original game though. But yeah, Corpse Party, I thought, as for horror, it's definitely one of those brutal, graphic, bloody animes I've seen. Definitely a whole nose ball on that though. But that's what what kept me going. You know, we'll see how our characters are able to get out alive though. I mean, two of them did sadly though, and the other one becomes trauma. Like Naomi, she gets traumatized once again. Yeah. But overall, I don't hate Corpse Party. I think it was pretty good as a horror, as a horror anime. Definitely the most bloody graphic of all the animes I've seen. And if people are divided by this, I understand. So, but that's my review for Corpse Party. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next review for Anime Month, and we'll see y'all later.